yes. Mr. Ash just asked if we were ready, and I said, well, yes, if he says so. And I looked at the clock, and we're 5 minutes after. What in the world happened? Viewpoint. Good morning.
Well, we could make it up on the other end.
Oh, we can do that, whatever. If, he's the man behind the board over here. Viewpoint, program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. And we certainly have a personality and a perspective with us today.
And an important one.
Yeah, going to bring him online here in just a minute. You and I might have a common kudo to share, Mrs. Busby, since we experienced a rather unusual evening last night together. Let's hasten to say that this was at the Montessori school system. You want to talk about that for just a minute?
Well, I had a nice time. I've not been to any of their activities at the Montessori school, but they were having like their little end of the year graduation, etc. And it was real cleverly done. And you could see that there was a lot of work that went into that, because some of those children are very young. There was one little boy who I imagine would grin if you kicked him. He just never did stop smiling. He was a very happy child. And he just stood there and smiled the whole time. He was like 3, his brother told me.
Well, it's amazing the amount of memory work those folks
oh, my.
did. Mind you, given their ages, this is preschool, Montessori, let's just talk about it for half a second. That's quite it's quite a development in early childhood education. It's been going on for many, many years now. Mrs. Vickers opened up the Lincoln Montessori school system there, just across from the college, and on Keokuk Street there, and does a great job with these little youngsters, little boys and girls, and we have a lot of very, very happy and very satisfied parents. By the way, I might just add parenthetically there, if that's a bad pun on that, but nonetheless, there's some sacrifices that these parents make to put those youngsters into special schooling, and boy, kudos to them, because they're giving their kids a leg up on early education.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a different approach than in the public schools, but certainly a valid approach.
Yeah. It's a preschool thing, and that it does a great. Anyway, last night they were quite good, and I was interested in the little skit they put on, David and Goliath. Had some unusual political overtones at the end. Which appealed to most of us in the audience.
Yes, yes.
Well, why don't you introduce our young guest this morning? We're very pleased to have you.
Chris Cece directs all the athletic and sportsy programs that take place through the YMCA here in the greater Lincoln area. And that's a lot. My first acquaintance and Jim Ash's first acquaintance with the Y, I dare say, were probably the soccer teams that they formed however many years ago. My grandson was just a little boy, and Jim's son was just a little boy. And they were out there playing soccer and having the darn best time, and there were a lot of kids involved. So I dare say it might have been the first acquaintanceship with the Y for lots of people in this area. And it's grown exponentially. They have lots and lots of programs, and as I couldn't help but say in the promo, that very shortly now, after they get out of school, it'll take about a week of just euphoria because they don't have to get up and go to school, at which time we'll set in the traditional, I don't have anything to do when I'm bored, at which time you feel like I don't know what with your children. But do not lose hope. There is hope. And it's the Y, and they have all kinds of things going on all summer, not just the soccer. How is that coming, Chris? Is that still a growing industry, having soccer teams?
Oh, yeah. Soccer is always growing in Lincoln, and it has been for several years. We're just wrapping up our spring season. This weekend is our last weekend for that, and then we'll pick that back up in the fall. But having not known anything about soccer, when I came back to Lincoln, I had a crash course in it right away, and yeah, it's up and coming, and a lot of kids are interested, and it's so exciting on Saturday to see all the parents and grandparents and all the relatives come out and cheer on the little kids, giving it their all.
Yeah, it seemed to me like when we had to go out as grandparents and stand along the sidelines out there at Lincoln Christian University, it was always some cold doggone morning. And, well, you can let the cat in if you want, Jim. Tell me, Chris, Dr. Drew Howder has been behind an effort to establish a soccer field out there on the west side of town, and that seemed like a really neat idea. How's that? Do you have knowledge as to how that's progressing?
I do not. That's separate from the Y's. So.
Yes, it's kind of well, not really an adult, but it is a separate program from your Y. I just didn't know whether you had any knowledge of how that was
I don't at this point, no.
Really nice to have that facility, and nice of Dr. Howder to be behind that, so it's such 100%. When you first came aboard, by the way, Chris is a local young man. His father, Charles, and mother, Barb. We had a great deal of respect for Charles Cece. He was an influence in this town, and we miss him greatly. How did you get involved in this program that you're doing here?
I was working in St. Louis, and for a company not doing very well. I had a girlfriend in Chicago. We wanted to try to...
St. Louis and Chicago.
St. Louis and Chicago, long-distance relationship.
Yeah.
But we were trying to make it work, and a friend of mine had told me that the sports director position at the YMCA was open, and it was something completely different from what I was doing in St. Louis, but I thought, what the heck? I played sports all through high school.
You sure did.
And know a lot about sports, and I just thought it'd be a great opportunity, and so I was offered the job and started in August 2010, and here I am almost 2 years later, and I love it. It's great getting out. I'm not always in the office, so it's nice to get out, and especially in the spring and the fall, and planning all the sports and a couple other things, a run in the fall and a bike blast in late summer, so a couple other activities as well.
Well, now, Judy, we have to ask, did cutting the proximity in half, did that help, or is that just another stage in your life?
It did help because we are getting married this summer, so...
well,
yep.
Timely question.
Yep, we both moved back to Lincoln. We're both originally from Lincoln, so...
I see. Well, great.
It all ended well.
Yeah.
all is well that ends well.
Yeah.
Well, now we've established that they do have a grand soccer program, and you might want to look into that for your kids. And you have other things. There are lots of kids who maybe aren't going to be soccer players, but they'd sure enjoy an art program. Let's talk a little bit about the myriad programs that you have to offer for the children when they come to the boredom point.
We'll first start with the art classes and art camp. We have, just by the way, if anybody wants to come by and pick up our spring-summer catalog, it's up at the YMCA at 604 Broadway. But the art classes and art camp, we have a couple different ones throughout the summer. One's our space camp, June 18th through the 21st. And we also do a clay camp, July 9th through the 12th. So a couple of very innovative, fun, creative little camps that I know a lot of the children have a lot of fun with.
Oh yes, I had one of my kids that was very interested in art, and graduated as an art teacher, as a matter of fact, and others who would have forsaken that to go to the soccer camp.
Right.
So we have to have things for everyone. Swimming has kind of been challenged. I know that you made great use of the pool at the rec always, and of course that isn't going to be available this year, but you will still have swim classes, and that's an important thing. So let's talk a little bit about swimming.
Well, I'm not exactly sure how many years we've been at the Elks, but we are still having our swim lessons at the Elks, and that ranges in age from 6 months all the way up to 12 years. We also open it up to any private lessons, and that's open to any age as well. So swim lessons typically start mid-June. Water is usually a little too cold if we started any earlier than that. Yeah. And they go for 2-week sessions, and we do 3 consecutive sessions, so it goes from the middle of June to the end of July, and it's great. It's one of the most important things I think a kid can learn is how to swim.
Really? Yeah, I agree totally.
Yes, the folks who organized the original Learn to Swim Week out at Lincoln Lakes would be very happy to know that this is an ongoing project. Ginny Higgins would be one in particular. I can see her teaching at the Learn to Swim Week out at Lincoln Lakes eons ago, even when I was a little guy, so that's eons ago. It's spelled with a capital I-O-N. Now, tell us, Chris, how long will your swim program go then? Throughout the summer, or is that going to be a short program according to the calendar?
The swim lessons?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll start June 18th, and each session goes for 2 weeks, Monday through Thursday, and if any one of those days is rained out, we make that up on Friday or Saturday. And they'll go for 2 weeks. Usually, depending on the class, it'll go either a half hour or 45 minutes each day. So Monday through Thursday for those 2 weeks for the first session. Then the next session goes the next 2 weeks, and the next session the next 2 weeks. And it ends towards the end of July. It looks like July 26th. So, yeah, there's plenty of opportunities if parents, families are on vacation. You know, 1 or 2 of those weeks we offer 3 different sessions. So.
Well, let's toe to the sport, to your program that you're into the page where it says Spring and Summer Athletics, and kind of take us down the line there. You really have a plethora of interesting things there to involve young boys and girls. And by the way, what would be the top age, or let's go from the age bracket that this takes care of? From what age to what age in your various programs?
It goes from 3.5 all the way up to about 6th grade. 3.5 years old up to 6th grade. We do offer sports that start out for our 4 to 6 year olds, but then we have other. I take that back. I guess our golf goes all the way up to 8th grade, but typically, yeah, most of our sports will start as young as 4 years old, 3.5 to 4 years old.
Boy, that fills a bill for a lot of parents. Mothers in particular are home with the kids to have the little beggars have an activity that is helpful to them, for them, to be able to get out and take care of the. Let's start with your aardvark to zebra. Let's start with archery and come down the page and talk about that, including, of course, right up here in Jim's hometown, the Atlanta sports group. I'd like to mention that.
Yeah, we some of the spring sports we had offered were the archery and volleyball, and I mentioned before our soccer program that wraps up this weekend. Archery is always a big success at the Y. We have a lot of hunters that want to pass on their skills to their children, and a lot of children are very interested in shooting, and that's a great way to get started in that. Dave Duvall from Duvall's Automotive has volunteered his time and effort into that for many years and does a great job with the kids, and we usually have that in the spring and March.
You know, just the other day on the news they had an item about archery and the spread of its popularity because of this movie that was just here in Lincoln like about a month ago. What's the name of it?
Are you talking about the Hunger Games?
Yes. Yes. And because of that movie, young people have decided, ooh, archery is kind of an interesting thing. So you may you may see that grow as time goes by.
Well, we hope so.
Yeah.
We do a lot of fun things with that archery program, in addition to having them shoot at targets the first 3 weeks. That last week, we take them out in the woods, fully supervised, and have a cookout, and bring a conservation officer out there, have that officer talk about safety and identifying different furs of animals, and we give out awards, and the kids just have a great time. And so we're happy to see that program grow, and yeah, maybe with the Hunger Games being so popular, that will in turn get even more kids excited about shooting. So
yeah, that's what they said, that it's a growth idea now.
Yeah.
How about Wee Ball for these little bitty kids?
Wee Ball, yeah, it's our take on T-ball, I suppose, and that's 4 to 6 years old, and the kids are just learning about baseball, boys and girls, and last summer was my first summer to run that, and the kids are great. I mean, they're really learning the fundamentals of baseball, throwing and catching, and they love running the bases. Of course, they love smacking it as hard as they can off the tee, and I'll say they hit the ball nearly 50% of the time. So.
Well, that's pretty darn good. Now,
Yeah.
Since Bill and I precede by quite a measure Title IX, I'm interested in knowing whether this is for boys and girls.
Boys and girls, yes.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal. And the Atlanta Sports Camp, Bill wants you to expand on that, because after all, we are in Atlanta.
Yeah, we haven't had the participation numbers in the last couple of years for this camp, so we were hoping to get it off the ground again this summer, and that's open to anybody in the Atlanta area that might be interested. And we run it kind of like our Sports of All Sorts programs. We open it up to kids that are interested in football and basketball and baseball and soccer, and we do it at the park there in Atlanta. And so yeah, we're hoping that gets off the ground this year, and try to build some interest for it. So
good. And then going on from after they decide which sport they want, you can get to the Chad Burnham Flag football that's sponsored by good old Joe Ryan, who's very interested in football.
That's right. He was actually my coach in junior high and in high school.
Oh, you both graduated and went on, huh? Good.
So, our flag football program, we actually decreased our rate to try to generate a little more interest, and that starts as early as 4 years. So once again, it's another sport where we're introducing children to the fundamentals of football without the contact, just flag football, and they get out there, have a good time. We let them call some of their own plays, and that can be good or bad, but it's fun for everybody.
It's a learning process. That's
yes, very much so.
Do they have pads then?
No, this is no contact. It's flags. So if they instead of tackling, they would just pull the flag that they wear around, kind of like a belt, and just pull the flags off.
Right. And golf, that's for all time. I mean, the day may come when you're no longer a football player, okay? But you can always play golf.
Right. We do a couple different sessions of golf, one in June and one in late July, early August. And we have our instructor teach the finer points of golf. What's nice about the golf program is, depending on the skill level of the participant, our golf instructor will kind of cater to what the areas that they need most, whether that be driving, chipping, putting, and so they learn all those fundamentals if they've never had that before, but if they have, he's able to teach them or refine their skills, so they get quite a bit out of that.
To me, before we take a station break, Judith, that I could teach the finer skills of golf. I don't practice them, but I could teach them. Let's take just a couple of minutes now in honor of our sponsors.